The Helloverse is constantly growing and changing, and with the changes from one phase of production to another, certain things we thought of as canon to the stories of Helluva and Hazbin Hotel no longer seem to be, even aspects of their original pilot episodes. So today we're going to talk about the history of both shows and what is phased out of canon in the meantime. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss more videos like this one, and let's dive into it. Blitz and some of the other Helluva characters appear to have originally been meant to be characters in Hazbin Hotel, but with the show having a huge cast and already a large amount of side characters meant to be explored in future episodes, it made sense to give Blitz his own show. You can see Blitz and even Moxie in the background in the Hazbin Hotel pilot. After the Hazbin Hotel pilot, VivziePop wanted to shop the show around to various television distribution options, so created Helluva to fill in the space and keep her studio employed, as well as maintaining interest in the Hazbin Hotel world by giving its fan a second show to explore it through. Whenever I bring up the pilot, people complain that it isn't canon, so I figured this is the best place to start talking about canon and work our way back. So this pilot, as well as the comic strips, Instagrams, and other official media, I would label as second level canon. Canon on the first level is anything that happens explicitly in the primary story, which of course is accepted as truth in the story. In this case, this would be the episode of each show in the main series. Second level canon tends to be something creators use to describe the spin-off materials that they oversee, but aren't a part of the main show. In the case of Hazbin Hotel and Helluva, this would include those Instagrams, the comics, music videos, and any other outlets that they have for their characters. These are meant to give you insight into the characters and are more or less canon, but if they are contradicted by something in the show, it is not something that the creator wants to worry about, as their main narrative in the series is what is important. Pilots are tricky because they are something of a first draft for a show. In a lot of cases, there are so many changes to a pilot that they never air on TV because it doesn't make sense to go on to the next episode from there, though they can still often be referenced by the characters despite these extreme changes, with the pilot still often containing the base story that establishes the plot for the main series. In many cases, the proper first episode of a series will pick up where the pilot left off, though in some cases they will essentially go back and remake the pilot in the form of their first episode. In Helluva, the pilot is really just an introduction to the series, the characters, and their relationships. While some changes were thought up for episode 1 in this regard, it only ever seems to expand on the pilot's story as opposed to contradict it. The fact that Stella's party guests maintain their designs from the pilot in the Season 2 flashback really emphasizes that the pilot as a whole is canon, particularly the scene we saw of Blitz escaping. The biggest changes to the pilot are mostly visual. The most striking changes there are the backgrounds, which have a lot more detail in them. Another is mostly background characters and things like Millie Hair, which change as they solidified the lore for the series and what different traits different demon species and genders have. All in all, the pilot is what I would call second level canon as well in this regard. We know that the key points of the story are canon, but we accept any changes that came afterwards as well. I think the people take most issue with in regards to the pilot canon is when I theorize about Stolas' involvement with Lucifer and plans for Earth based on how Stolas describes wanting global warming to get worse, so hell gets more sinners. Some people want to take this as a joke entirely, which may not be wrong. However, as similar details came out in later episodes, its original intent matters very little to me. As we see more indications of Stolas and other demons working to conquer Earth, small details that might have meant to be humor originally can be given more serious meaning. The point is that this is one detail that seems to be affirmed by the series going forward and not contradicted by it, such as with Millie's hair. The Hazbin Hotel pilot, on the other hand, is a bit of a different story, and may not have nearly the level of canon that the Helluva pilot did, which was produced much more closely to the rest of the series. At the time of the Hazbin Hotel pilot, I'm not even sure if the other rings of hell were places that had been thought up. Helluva was created to explore the other 6 rings of hell, with them being places sinners can't naturally have access to, really separating the shows despite the home locations of the imps being in a city pretty close to Pentagram City from Hazbin Hotel. While I imagine a lot of the Hazbin Hotel series will still feel like a continuation of the pilot, the actual lore and story that the pilot implies, foreshadows, and alludes to may be entirely irrelevant by the time the main series airs. I imagine it will all be more or less the same, but with the story, plotting, and writing much further along, certain details from the pilot may be bent and twisted in new ways that the pilot itself seemingly contradicts. Like some shows, Hazbin Hotel may start its series proper where its pilot left off, leaving any changes to the story in the pilot a mystery until unraveled in the show, or it may remake the pilot for the first episode, with all the appropriate changes necessary for the series proper to follow. Until then, I treat the pilot as a sort of second-level canon for the sake of theorizing about the upcoming show itself, but by the time we see the first episode of the series, or even the trailer, a lot may be contradicted, and the pilot may be entirely irrelevant. In addition to the Hazbin Hotel pilot, there is also the Addict music video, which was noted as being indicative of a shift in style and tone for the series, giving us a look into the more intense drama that was to come that didn't fit into the more lighthearted pilot. This music video is meant to represent the current setup of the show, but no particular moment is necessarily canon in a way that will matter to the story. Everything we learn about the dynamic from Angel, Valentino, and Charlie here will be reiterated in the show, and you won't need to have seen this music video to understand anything. The scene at the end in particular where Angel and Cherry blow up Valentino's club probably did not happen, if for no reason other than there is a sign on the wall in the background that says it was all a dream, as Angel and Cherry make their escape. Existing in addition to the pilot and music video, Hazbin Hotel also had 2 comics acting as prequels to the series. One focused on Angel, his life working for Valentino, and how he met Charlie and Vaggie. The other was about a day in the life of Alistair, where we see him go to the cannibal colony. Both were meant to give us insight into the characters and their lives leading into the show, and there were even plans for additional comics about how Vaggie and Charlie first met. While this may eventually happen, the comics seem to stop prematurely, perhaps because of the rights being tied up with A24. This doesn't mean that VivziePop couldn't continue to produce these comics when the show airs, just that it's better to wait until then as they develop their story and put it out for the world to see in its final form. Some of the characters from Hazbin Hotel and Helluva also have Instagram accounts off and on, where they act out stories involving the characters. These are run by crew members who do not know all of the insights into VivziePop's mind as they come up with these Instagram stories, but they do often have insights into future episodes that are in production. And some of the Instagram posts allude to events before they actually happen in the show. Because of this, they are meant to be examined to some degree for the sake of interesting character insights and the like, but should not be taken seriously if anything that happens in them are not considered canon. They are great for affirming theories and insights into the show, but are not a standard of canon the show itself is held up to. Finally, there's the live streams, which are a bit controversial at this point. VivziePop has always had a strong online presence and has been doing regular streams since long before the Hazbin Hotel pilot aired. In these streams, she would share a lot of information about the world and answer questions from fans. Some of these would be very silly and others more serious. In addition, other crew members would sometimes weigh in as well. There are hours and hours of these live streams, making it hard to catalog them all and trace each bit of lore directly back to who said it and what context they were saying it with some crew members saying things in a joking way taken too seriously, or certain things just being misexplained. Of course, the show has developed a lot since the pilot as well, so a lot of the information that was serious is also no longer relevant. Because of this, I look at it as something of a third-level canon if such a thing exists. I see it as information that can be applied to the show to see what relevant theories can be derived, but not something that should be used to disregard theories, ideas, or developments from the actual series itself. Though as time goes on, there is less and less need to reference live streams in general as things are explained in at least one of the shows. These are the various levels of canon I see in the Helloverse as of now, as well as my reasons why, but if you disagree, feel free to let me know your opinions in the comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time.